right, hello everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers Academy, and this is the product sourcing workshop. There was a little bit of a confusion about this particular workshop, so I apologize for the delay. I had to send out a communication, but if you're an active Academy member, you'll be able to see this. In any case, I'm going to start from the beginning. So Larry, if you can cut out the first part, that would be great. So let me start again. Hello, everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers, and this is the product sourcing workshop. It's a two-part series. We are going to be covering a little bit of everything related to product sourcing. So I hope that this information is helpful to you. I would suggest you grab a pen because you might need it, and we'll go from there. So with that, a little bit about me. I am the creator and co-founder of all things eCom Sellers related. I'm a single mom of two special needs teenagers now. And I am also the VP of a nonprofit. I've been selling offline since 2008 to offline, online since 2014. Kind of got started indirectly by accident. And it was because someone that I knew in our autism community needed some stuff listed. And so then I got started on eBay. They actually paid me a percentage of the amount that was made off of the sales that I listed. So in any case, I started off as a lister for somebody else that had a warehouse full of stuff. So some of the assumptions about this workshop is that you have access to a computer and the internet, and you have access to transportation if you need to do any on-site research. You won't always have to do on-site research. You can do offline research, but just giving you that assumption. So if you don't have access to those, you'll need to gain access because you can do a lot of stuff online. Okay. So overview of this workshop, we're going to be talking about what product sourcing is. We're going to give you some tips, some do's and don'ts. Going to give you some additional information and give you some suggested activities to help you begin to do some product sourcing. So product sourcing is different than product research. We will touch on product research, but this is really about where to buy your inventory, not what to buy. So product sourcing is different than product research, and we will have a separate workshop on product research that it will cover just regular research, niche research, private label product research. Like we're going to cover that in a much deeper session. So as part of this journey as an e-commerce seller, we always want to cover mindset. The thing that we always want to keep in mind is that at the end of the day, you're the owner of this business. I can make lots of suggestions and recommendations, but it's really up to you. You're the owner of the business. You make all the decisions and you take all the responsibility for whatever happens in your business, good, bad, or indifferent, even the things you can't control. And there are times where there are things in your business that you won't be able to control. So having a positive mindset, being able to bounce back, rebound when interesting things happen. And I can tell you periodically, interesting things might happen. So you just need to be prepared for that. The assumption is that you have some level of understanding of the different methods of e-commerce, that all of them are going to require you to acquire some level of inventory. Now, I say that with a grain of salt, like print on demand, like you're not really acquiring anything. You're using another vendor to print out your item. But for the most part, like if you're doing private label, you're getting inventory, or somebody's making your product. White label, somebody's making your product. Drop shipping, somebody's already created your product. So you still have to get it to your customer. Retail arbitrage, thrifting, resale, all of those are somewhere in the middle. You're going to have to spend some money to get some inventory and to get it to someone else. There's different ways to do this business where you don't have to spend money, but for the most part, you are going to have to spend some money. So I encourage you to establish a budget. That is so important. Building a budget for your business is going to be key to your success. So make sure you're doing everything you can to establish a realistic budget, having the money necessary to be able to I just want to make sure my mic is working. Yeah. Having the money needed to be able to make decisions when it comes to buying things is going to be extremely important. Building a schedule, that's going to help you to build the routines that are necessary to run a successful business, the business operating routines, the accounting and financial routines, the sourcing routines that are part of this, like every piece of your business, creating listings, all of that. Building a schedule, making time for the business so that you can grow the business or so the business can pay you back. I encourage you that whatever you decide to do when it comes to your business, stick with it for at least 3 to 6 months before you say this thing does not work. That's going to give you enough time to see the fruits of your labor if you're consistent, which is the last thing. Consistency is key to your success. So if you're consistent on a regular basis, listing, sourcing, getting your products to your customers, then you have a better chance of reaping some awesome rewards within 3 to 6 months of consistency. If you're aggressively consistent, meaning you're investing several man hours, then you may see the results of your labor within 3 months. You'll definitely, if you're consistent, you definitely should make at least one sale within 6 months. But, we always shoot for way more than one sale. So I'm not going to tell you that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying consistency is the key. So what is product sourcing? It's pretty much just finding a product that you want to sell online, on a marketplace, on a platform, or physically if you're a person who has products available to be able to sell at a flea market or swap meet, your own brick and mortar, that kind of thing. You can just acquiring a product to be able to sell. That can be anything from keychains. I met the cutest young man. He was, I think 7 or 8 years old, and he was selling keychains. He had all kinds of keychains. To another person that I ran into that was in college this weekend, that was selling socks. So, they acquire the socks from somewhere, they acquire the keychains from somewhere, whether it's directly from the manufacturer or whether it's, from a distributor of some type, or whether or not they, some people have the tools to be able to produce it and make it themselves. With 3D printers, there's a bunch of cool stuff that people can make. So you have to have a product to be able to sell. And the goal is to figure out which products you want to sell, which products make the most sense for you and your business model, because you do have to make some decisions on your business model. And so we're going to go through a little bit of that. But again, product sourcing is acquiring the product that you plan on selling to a consumer or selling to another business. That's always another option as well. You don't always have to sell directly to a customer. You can sell directly to businesses. So some general tips about sourcing and giving you some quick ones. If you want to source for low cost or no cost, you could do what I did, which is I started off with selling things from around the house, getting friends and neighbors and church members to give me anything that they plan on donating to the Goodwill. And once they did that, I was able to list those items to make money. I also went to the free, I forget what it's called now, but it was like freeware or something like that, where people were listing things like free to anybody, just come get it. And I would list those things on another platform. When it sold, then I would go there and collect the money and they would take the thing off, whatever it happened to be. Once I sold a basketball goal that way, in someone's back, like garage driveway, because in Texas, a lot of the driveways are in the back of the house. Garage sales, churches, thrift stores, another great way to acquire inventory for low cost. Finding things that people are getting rid of and getting a really good deal for it. I know I remember once, I think Kedrick found a set of books that were valued at like $300 and he bought them for like $4 or some crazy number. Kelly has bought some things that are like that as well, where she found it for a really inexpensive or cheap price at a garage sale or at a thrift store, and then she resold it for a higher price. Store closures and liquidations. Sometimes you can find some really good deals when it comes to store closures and liquidations. They might have things at 75% off, 85, 90% off. You just never know. So those are good ways to be able to find inventory to be able to sell. Now, you do have to vet the inventory, and that's a different discussion, but finding inventory. One of the things that I do recommend is that you write down your potential budget or your available funds that you have to invest. If you're starting off low and you don't have a lot of money, you can start as low as $25, $50, or $100 a week. And then the goal would be, if you're going to start that low, is to reinvest 100% of the proceeds for at least the first 6 months. Every time you make money, go buy inventory, reinvest it. Again, sourcing the right products is always key, but yes, you can get started for as low as $25. And you just want to take the proceeds of whatever you purchased and reinvest 100% of that back into inventory. And again, and again, and again, and again, rinse and repeat until you get to that place where you've got a lot of money. Another one I recommend as you're going through this process of sourcing, if you decide you're going to source online, you're going to order online, keep track of your accounting always for your tax purposes. I would recommend creating a separate email account so that you can store or collect or forward any invoices, receipts that you collect or receive. So whenever you set up an account with any suppliers, make sure you're forwarding all those receipts and invoices to a separate account, to a separate email account. For me, I always use like NicoleTax@gmail.com. So anytime receipts came in, just send them over to NicoleTax@gmail.com. Invoices, anything I bought online, office supplies, whatever, because you're running a business. And like I said before, reinvest. I say 100%. I wrote 90% here, but definitely 100%. Whatever you buy, keep all your receipts, your invoices, your purchase orders, keep all of them. If you're driving around, track your mileage, because you're going to need to do that. And take advantage of any store coupons. If they allow the opportunity to get store coupons or to create an account so you can get store discounts, I say do it, because then that way you can maximize your ROI and higher profits. So some low-cost ways to get started in sourcing. Retail and online arbitrage is one way. You can use coupons. Thrift stores, as I mentioned before, those are all inexpensive ways to get started. Garage sales, things like that, all inexpensive ways to get started. And then when you do get to a place where you have enough money to invest, you're going to place orders. If you're going to do wholesale, you're going to place them in larger quantities, because most wholesale suppliers will have a minimum order quantity. And so you want to be mindful of those numbers, and we'll get into that in just a second. But you want to make sure that whatever you order, that you're, again, keeping those receipts. And for some things that you're going to order, I would go wide and not deep. Going wide and not deep means that you're not going to buy 10,000 of this particular product. You might buy a couple of hundred of this little product, whatever it happens to be. The reason you want to go wide and not deep is because trends change, people's minds change, the market changes. Different things happen on different platforms where maybe you acquired it for $4, but someone else acquired it for $2. And so they're selling it for a much lower price than you are. And you can't make those margins work for you. You have to sell it at your price. Your price is your price, because you need to get your money back. So if you go wide and not deep in a few different products, or you ultimately, at the end of the day, decide on a niche, then again, you'll have a better chance of not having a bunch of leftover inventory. Product research is going to be key, but again, we're going to take a shallow look at product research here. We're going to take a deeper dive in another product research workshop, but again, we're going to take a very shallow look. Our focus is just acquiring inventory. So finding a good supplier, regardless of who the supplier is, most of the time we're talking about wholesale. So find a good supplier. What products do they provide, especially with wholesale? And I think these are out of order, but that's okay. What products do they provide? What are their payment options? So if you're working on wholesale, let me go ahead and go to the wholesale slides real quick. Okay. So if you're working on wholesale is a model where you buy inventory directly from a wholesale supplier or a manufacturer or a distributor. I will tell you, there are sometimes multiple layers in this wholesale game. I'm going to give you some examples. Someone might receive inventory from China and it's sitting on the docks, big containers. You've seen these big ships come across the ocean with containers on them. And so big containers, those containers, someone decides, and this happened like over a year ago or a couple of years ago, where the company that ordered the inventory from China said, I don't want it. I don't need it. I can't do anything with it. That happened during the pandemic quite a bit. And so these docks, ports had oodles and oodles of crates that had shipping containers that had inventory in them that nobody was claiming. So what will happen is a company will come along, work with a freight forwarder, and they will acquire those shipping containers. Sometimes they know what's in them, sometimes they don't, but they'll acquire the shipping containers. And when they acquire them, those shipping containers, then they will, they got them at the lowest price probably possible. They may parse it out and separate it and maybe have children's and pets and household goods and clothing and, lawn and automotive, and like separate it out. And they will just send it out to, or resell it to other distributors or wholesale suppliers. And they'll get a little markup on it just to get rid of it. And those individual wholesale suppliers will potentially sell it to you, or they may distribute it again. So there could be multiple layers. By the time you get to the price that you're potentially buying it from the wholesale supplier, your price could be much higher than what you anticipated. Being able to get it as close to the lowest price possible is always the objective or the goal. So going directly to the manufacturer is one of the easiest way to get the potential lowest price. Negotiating, working with Alibaba or AliExpress is one way to do that, okay? And going directly to the people who actually make the thing, whatever the thing is. Then, if you're not doing that, then you have to be prepared to pay just a little bit more. So I just want you to be mindful of the fact that sometimes when you're working with wholesale suppliers, you're not getting the lowest possible price. But working with a wholesale supplier typically means that you're getting it for a low price. Wholesale prices are sometimes, or should be always, but they're not always, cheaper than warehouse prices. When you think about warehouses, we're talking about Sam's Club, we're talking about Costco, BJ's, all of those are like warehouse prices. And then the next level is retail. Within retail, there are times when you can buy stuff from retail when it's on clearance, you can get it for like 75% off, and it'll be below wholesale. It'll be below warehouse. It'll be the lowest possible price, which we love those kind of deals. So when you can find stuff on clearance, or you can use coupons and be able to maximize the potential ROI, definitely do it. But yeah, it's buying directly. Wholesale is buying directly from the manufacturers or from the warehouse that created them, or from whoever is reselling it. Another form of wholesale is not necessarily wholesale, it's like liquidation wholesale. When you see those returns from Walmart and you see returns from Target and Lowe's and Home Depot, those returns are sold to a distributor. In most cases, that distributor is a liquidator, but they're getting it, pretty much new, or if not new, they're getting that inventory. And so sometimes you'll see sites where they say it's wholesale liquidation. And sometimes the stuff that was on the dock would be considered wholesale liquidation. Like it didn't even make it to the store. It just stayed on the dock. And now we're going to get rid of it. So liquidating inventory is very common. That's happened a lot in the last 3 years. And then getting inventory directly from wholesale suppliers where it's not liquidation at all. That's another way, but the cost may be just slightly higher. So liquidation can be great. Reselling liquidation can sometimes get interesting depending on which platforms you're selling it on, because you can't always provide, and some of the platforms might want the chain of custody, meaning proof that you acquired it from the original source. And If you can't prove that, then sometimes the platforms are not happy. When I say platforms, I mean the selling marketplaces like Etsy, Amazon, eBay. Like you have to sometimes prove depending on what type of inquiry that might be. But here's a few wholesale suppliers. You could go and take a look at what they have and their prices. I won't say that they are the lowest because they're not. By the time DH Gate or Dollar Days or Coal Imports or some of these get the item, they're probably the third layer in the transaction, fourth layer in the transaction, and they're not the originator. Whereas Alibaba, you can potentially get stuff if you buy it in a certain minimum order quantity, that's MOQs, you can probably get it for as low as possible. The thing you have to keep in mind with Alibaba is it's got to come across the ocean. And so even if you can buy it for dirt cheap, it's just that transport, it's going to cost you. That's the thing that's going to cost you. Okay. So DHgate does have some semi-decent prices. Dollar Days, Coles Imports. I forgot another one, EE Distribution. I forgot to put them on here. There's so many. So there's a few more. We'll make sure we put them on part 2 so that I can mention those as well. You can look at Wholesale Central and Wholesale Market for additional wholesale suppliers. Abound, Doba, Trade Key, Brands Gateway. Like I could go on the number of wholesale suppliers that you could work with. Within eCom Sellers Academy, if you're an active Academy member, then you get a wholesale list from us every single week. So every week, we send out a wholesale list. That's 520 wholesale suppliers a year that you get just for being an active Academy member. So again, giving you the opportunity to reach out to them and establish a wholesale account. Okay. So if you're going to establish a wholesale account, I'm going to go back to those slides just a second. The thing I would want to find out is what are the products that they provide. Typically, they will have a wholesale catalog. So definitely take a look at that. Or sometimes it's, most of the time it's online. So you can go through their catalog and look at it. Sometimes the catalog is so big that you do need to order the book. But if you know what you're going after and you've done your niche research, then go look in that section. Find out what the payment options are. Again, for different wholesale suppliers, some of their payment options are straightforward. Some of them are not. Also, you probably need to find out if you have to establish an account with them too, but I'm sure that's probably on another slide. When you're doing research, if you're looking at like Alibaba as one of the wholesale suppliers, these are definitely steps I would follow. I would see how long they have been in business. If I'm ordering anything from Alibaba, I'm not ordering anything from any business that has been active for less than 5 years. That's just me. You can choose 3 if you want to, but I'm not doing anything with anyone less than 5 years. And I'm not doing anything with anyone that has a quality rating of less than 4.5. 4.5. I'm going to go look and see what the product is, but the actual supplier, they need to have at least a 4.5 period, and they need to be in business for at least 5 years. And then I'm going to go look at the product to see what the ratings are for the product. And when I'm doing the research for the product, again, this is not the product research class, but before I buy it, I'm going to go look for this product on the different platforms, just to see whether or not the quality of the product is good or bad. Now, the one thing about Alibaba is that when people buy from Alibaba, they're going to brand it under their own name in most cases. So you won't find that particular company's name, but you can find that product. And if you can find it, like if it's one of those products where the majority of the people are sourcing it directly from Alibaba, then, the suppliers are going to be fairly close to each other. And I would just look to see what that product is doing. If a lot of people are complaining about it, I'm not going to sell that product. If a lot of people are not complaining about it, it's got some great stars on it, then I'll probably order it. The other thing is, how do they ship the item? Especially if you're doing Alibaba. So you want to find out how they're shipping it. If you're doing drop shipping through AliExpress, then, they can get it. You want to find out what the times are. Most of the time it's like within 2 weeks if you choose the, I forget the setting or the option, but if it has to be shipped, you want to find out and how long will it take to get here. especially if you're using one of the Alibaba suppliers. Shipping times, how quickly are they processing it and getting it out the door? Anything you're ordering, when you're ordering inventory from like Alibaba, it's got to come on from China. You might as well just write down 4 weeks at a minimum, 6 weeks. So 4 to 6 weeks, and just be prepared for that. That should allow you the opportunity to do some strategic sourcing. If you know it's always going to take you about 4 to 6 weeks to get it, and you want to have your listing active 4 to 6 weeks before whatever holiday or event is coming up, then use the rule of thumb is you need to order your inventory anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks in advance. If you do 12 weeks in advance, then if it takes 6 weeks to get here, and then you can create the listing and it's active for at least 6 weeks before the holiday hits, you're good. You got 12, 6 and 6 is 12. If it's, that's the longest period of time in most cases. If it's 4 weeks, sometimes it's 3. I will tell you, sometimes it's 3. But if it's 4 weeks, then it gives you more time for your item, your listing to get optimized on the different platforms. But find out their shipping and processing times. Shipping times, typically different than processing times. Shipping times is how long they anticipate it will take for the item to get to you. Processing time is how long it takes for us to pull it down, verify it, package it up, put your name on it or put the label on it and ship it to you. That's processing time, different than shipping time. What's their return policy and how do they handle returns? Definitely you want to find that out. And you want to look at customer reviews. So again, I would take a screenshot of this for Alibaba, AliExpress for sure. And you can use some of these tips also for some of the wholesale suppliers. Okay, so other things to keep in mind when you're looking at wholesale suppliers is having an established account may not be necessary for all wholesale suppliers. Some of them will ask you to set up an account. Some of them you'll be required to have a membership. Others, they don't care. So you want to pay attention to that. You can create an account without being part of a membership. Some of them may make you pay. Some of them will have minimum order quantities. So you want to pay attention to that when it comes to ordering inventory. If you do need to establish an account, you need to make sure that you have the following available: an alternative business email address and the business name, store, maybe your EIN for your business, and then your business address, your business insurance. Some of them will ask for your business insurance. Some of them will ask for your reseller's license or certificate as well. So you want to be mindful of that and make sure the name that you give them is the name that's on your reseller's license or certificate. Different states call it a reseller's license. Some of them call it a reseller's permit or certificate. Depends on your state, what your comptroller for your state calls it. But it's different. It's known as different things. And you want to have that ready, especially if you're working with a wholesale supplier. You also want to check about any additional shipping fees that they may charge you or any other fees that they may talk about. Research their shipping turnaround times. Just mention that, shipping and processing time are 2 different things. So keeping those things in mind as you go through this journey. And don't forget, you will need to set up your own shipping account. For some of them, you might need to set up a shipping account. Some of them you may not. So be sure to ask what they want you to do when you're working with that particular supplier. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to move into wholesale. I'm going to come back to arbitrage. So wholesale suggestions, I think I talked through, you want to identify the product that is in demand or aligns with your business or your target audience. Again, this is not the product research part of the workshop, but just some suggestions. Definitely know what it is that you're looking for. And always have a backup supplier for some of these, especially if you feel like this is going to be a hot item or an in-demand item. Figure out who your backup supplier is going to potentially be should you sell more than you anticipated, and how quickly can that backup supplier get you inventory, or are they, this item so hot that even they are going to run out. I would always make sure I put contact potential suppliers, research potential suppliers, manufacturers to ensure they have high quality products. Definitely ask for samples if you have time, if there's enough time in the process. So if you're sourcing for Christmas and it happens to be May, you have enough time to get samples. Okay. But if you're all the way into September, you may or may not have enough time to get samples, depending on what their processing times and their shipping times are. So you may be too close to be able to do anything. By the time you get the sample, it might be the middle or the end of October, and then you place your order and maybe they're already out. So again, timing is everything. Knowing that you need a longer runway room for whatever you order from certain suppliers. So keep that in mind and put that kind of stuff on your calendar. I definitely negotiate your price and your payment terms if it's an opportunity, if there's an opportunity to do so. Some of them, there may not be an opportunity, and others, there may be an opportunity, especially after you build a relationship with them, you establish a relationship with them. And so placing orders and managing logistics, including the shipping and delivery, we kind of talked through that. If some of them require you to have like a freight forwarder, figure out, how you want to handle that. And do you want your inventory to go directly to your prep and fulfillment center? Is it coming directly to you? Or are you going to have it sent directly into Amazon now or Walmart or whoever? I don't ever want to send anything directly in without looking at it. So if you're comfortable with enough samples, or you've worked with a supplier long enough and you've worked with them, you have a history with them and with their product, you've been doing business with them for about 2 years, then you may just go ahead and have it sent to where you want it to go if you're a hands-off seller. But if you're a seller that's handling it, of course, you probably still want to look at it. So I would, after a certain period of time of working with the same supplier, I would spot check their work probably every 3 to 6 months, have a shipment sent to you instead of directly to them or to, Amazon or Walmart or whatever, and look at it just to make sure the quality is maintaining itself. So just randomly audit them. As I said before, that's literally what I was just saying. I was not looking at the screen. All right, so let me go ahead and go back to arbitrage. So arbitrage, my slides were out of order and I apologize. So arbitrage is a method of sourcing where you are going to a store, a retail store, and you're getting your inventory from that store. Now you can use online stores. You can get your inventory from online stores instead of physical stores. But again, is one of the things you want to do as part of your operations, track your mileage if you happen to be driving to go pick up inventory. There's so many different retail stores to choose from, and a lot of them are online. Some of them are going out of business, which is unfortunate. But you've got Walmart and Target. Clearance is always a good one. Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Big Lots, Kohl's, Ross, Marshall's, Disney Store, 99-cent store, Ollie's if you got one, Best Buy, Dirt Cheap, Party City, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Tuesday morning's closing, so it's not on this list, but Joann Fabrics. There's so many different stores in which you could source products depending on what it is that you want to sell or that you are selling. Don't overlook the grocery stores. Grocery stores are fantastic for consumables and replenishables. Now, you can get them at wholesale as well. Don't forget that there are wholesale food suppliers as well. So you could get food directly from specific suppliers as well. Look for those wholesale distributors if that's what you want to do. And then you got your warehouses, which we mentioned before, your Costco and your Sam's Club, great places to get inventory, especially some of the bulk inventory that you're going to resell on some of these platforms. Your drugstores are always a fun one because the stuff that's in the drugstores, when you are looking at inventory that's in the drugstores, that inventory, that space that's in the drugstore is limited, very limited. So they are not, whatever they have, they're going to be churning and turning that inventory spot quite frequently, which means they're going to lower the price because they need that space cleared out. They don't always want to send it back to the warehouse, so they'll discount it. And so you'll find great deals at Walgreens and CVS all day long when it comes to Easter and Mother's Day and Valentine's Day and Christmas and, 4th of July. Like, you'll find all kinds of deals because they only have these 2 aisles, maybe 3 if you're lucky, that have this seasonal rotation. Back to school, all of it always sits in the same place in the store. And because it sits in the same place in the store, they need that space for the next thing that happens to be coming in, rotating in. So you can get some really good deals there. They also have store, like you can, I don't know if I want to call it a store membership, but store rewards programs. So CVS, Walgreens, they have a rewards program, which means that you can get your stuff on clearance and you can get some cash back from some of those stores or discounts on what you buy. So don't overlook the Walgreens and the CVS. Tony Mitchell, who's on our leadership, she crushes it at the CVSs and the Walgreens of the world. Sporting stores, sporting goods stores, some of them are closed now, but the sporting goods stores, they will typically have a season as well. And depending on what it is, you can sometimes find a really good deal. I typically find clearance stuff because everything else is already marked up so high, but I would visit on a regular basis the rotation of these stores to figure out who's got the better price for the niche that I happen to be selling in, or niches that I happen to be selling in. That I would encourage you to do with any store that you feel like has your product. So an example would be like if you're selling baby stuff, Carter's, always a great option to go see what the prices are at Carter's, and then go see for some of the similar products or products that are in stores, what are they selling for in stores versus at the Carter's store. And I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth, so we have a lot of outlet stores, which makes it so much easier to do that. Next is your pet stores and your warehouse stores. Sorry, not warehouse, hardware stores. Your Home Depots, your Ace Hardware, your Minyards. There's all kinds of stores. One of them is Harbor Freight. I forgot about Harbor Freight on here. Harbor Freight is a great one because they will do rotations of sales and deals. Sherman-Williams will, even if you can't sell the paint, because paint is sometimes considered a chemical, there's other accessories you can sell or other things you can sell that you can potentially get from Sherman-Williams. And contractors, they have accounts there. They get stuff cheaper than what we get it for. So if you got a contractor friend, just telling you, I found that out. Then we mentioned some wholesale already. Here's some more to the wholesale list. So you can definitely take a look at this wholesale list and, use it to your advantage. So Holler, I completely forgot about Holler on the list, 888 lot, Burton and Burton, Sefer, wholesale to be. I mentioned EE distribution, again, adding that back to the wholesale list that we've already talked about. More wholesale suppliers. And again, if you're an Academy member, you get 10 every single week anyway. All right, so we've gone through wholesale, we've gone through arbitrage, now drop shipping. Drop shipping, you're going to find some of the same suppliers that you see for wholesale. Not all of them, but some of the same. Drop shipping is where you find a product and it says retail fulfillment, but it's not necessarily always retail. You can do, if there is a supplier out there that will allow you to establish an account with them, they will ship the item to the customer for you when the customer buys it. That is drop shipping. That is the thing that you want. In most cases, with drop shipping, unlike wholesale, like wholesale, you'll have some minimum order quantities. With drop shipping, you don't have those minimum order quantities for the most part. And they are shipping it directly to the customer for you. And in most cases, they are shipping it with your business name once you establish an account with that drop shipping supplier. So drop shipping suppliers can also be wholesale suppliers. And you want to see which ones will allow you to do that. Like Doba does wholesale and drop shipping. Mega Goods, Trade Gala, Wholesale, Tundra, Fair, Handshake, all of those are great drop shipping. And this is not the entire list. Trust me, there's more. But You want to find out which ones will actually ship it to your customer for you. Now, some of these platforms, like I have Costco and I have Sam's Club on here, and people have drop shipped from Costco and Sam's Club directly to their customers. But I will tell you, after a certain period of time, like Costco is much like Target. If you keep drop shipping from them, and if they don't like it, they will like stop you or prevent you from being able to drop ship from them. So if you can figure out the supplier, that's even better. Wayfair, Overstock, Rakuten, that's how I kind of got started in the business, using them as sources for drop shipping. People still use them as sources for drop shipping. Sometimes suppliers care and retailers care, and sometimes they don't, meaning they care about the fact that you are using them to drop ship a product to a customer and you're keeping the difference. With the state of the economy, some of them just don't care like they used to. So, and they may not have the IT staff as they did before because of all the layoffs. So, the thing I just want to encourage you to do is, if you can source from a actual drop shipper, like their website says they drop ship, then do that. Save yourself the stress, save yourself from having your account being blocked potentially. Not saying it's going to happen in every case, but if you use a true drop shipper or a wholesale supplier that will do individual, take individual orders and doesn't have a minimum order quantity, and they're willing to drop ship under your name, fantastic. Your business name, your store name. Okay. Do that. So some of the pros and cons of drop shipping is, one, you can save money. It is a low startup, because what you're doing is you're taking the money when the person buys a thing and you're using that money to actually buy the product from whoever. So let's say I'm drop shipping from Doba. So I put up an item and I'm selling the item for $50. I can get it from Doba for $25. So I will go pay for it on Doba, put in the customer's address and ship it, and they will ship it directly to the customer. A lot of these true dropship suppliers will also have integrations. So they can automatically ship it to your customer and you don't have to go do anything. The transaction is seamless. You don't touch anything. That's another thing about drop shipping. So it depends on if they have integrations available for whatever platform you're drop shipping on. And if they do, that saves you a whole bunch of time and energy as well. You can build a network of suppliers when you're drop shipping. That means you have multiple suppliers to choose from. You can become an expert in a niche. So maybe it's grills. This is the time of year people are buying grills. You see grills in front of Home Depot and Lowe's. You see grilling supplies. You see everywhere. So grilling kits, you'll see all kinds of grilling kits and spices and seasonings and sauces. So you can become an expert in grilling. You can sell grilling aprons, print on demand, go for it. The pros is that you can start picking a niche that you enjoy, something that you actually like. The existing demand for seasonal products, and you can expand with ease with drop shipping. The cons are that it can be competitive in certain categories. You could run into bad suppliers. So again, keep that good supplier list, people that you have worked with on a regular basis that deliver the product to your customer in a timely manner without any issues, and who communicate well with you and have a decent return policy. Sometimes you have no control over the supply chain, meaning if they run out of grills or they can't get stuff checked in at the docks, or maybe there was a container ship that sunk and so you can't even get the product anymore, like being mindful of that when you're doing drop shipping. And you are the customer service in most cases when it comes to drop shipping. Now you can't hire a VA to do some of that work for you, but you want to keep in mind that you are the customer service. Print on demand, another way to sell products. So the supplier in print on demand is whichever vendor you decide to go with to, one, create your amazing design, and two, to superimpose that design onto a product. The product doesn't always have to be t-shirts, doesn't always have to be hoodies, doesn't always have to be long sleeve shirts. It could be shoes, it could be socks, it could be laptop covers and phone covers, it could be hats, it could be wall art, it could be pillows, it could be throws, it could be so many different things. It could be Christmas ornaments. I could go on and on and on. But the key is to find a supplier that has the product that you want to sell and a method in which to download your amazing design. So create your design and then superimpose it onto that product so you can create the listing. The thing about print on demand suppliers is that some of them can be inconsistent in the quality, and you don't have any control over the timing in which that item is shipped in some cases, not in all cases. Most print on demand suppliers will tell you their processing time versus their shipping time. And so you can put that into your listing and maybe add a pad of a day or two. That's what I would do. But again, they're going to have specific products. Once you have done the analysis for your product research, not this class, then you'll be able to place your order with the supplier you feel like is going to do the best work for you. You can order samples with some of the print on demand suppliers. So I would encourage you to do so, especially if you have a high quality, high design, like lots of intricate, you know, lines and colors and all kinds of stuff, then I would definitely get a couple of samples, especially if it's quite colorful. If it's something that's simplistic, black and white, like, I mean, you can order a sample if you want to. Maybe you just want to see the quality of the shirt or the t-shirts or the wrapping paper that it's going to be printed on. Because again, print on demand, so many different ways in which to do print on demand. So here are some of the sites and places where you can do print on demand. And I have an asterisk next to a couple of them. They are, there's integrations with Shopify for those that are on the left. But the other thing is that they're also regular print on demand suppliers, like Printful and Printify are the most popular and well-known print on demand suppliers. Lulu is a print on demand supplier for books, everything books, low content books, coloring books, photo books, spiral bound books, hardcover books, any kind of paperback books, that kind of stuff. You also have KDP too, but giving you all of those ideas. So if you are like looking at all of these, you do have to figure out what your niche is going to be and do your research to make sure it's a viable product or a viable niche. Demand is there, interest is there, all of that. You identify the items that you believe you want to sell in a variety of different ways. So I've gone through and I've done this whole product validation exercise, and we will do that in the product research session. Like I said, we're not covering product research in a deep dive here. You're going to do research on the internet to find suppliers. You can also go through some of the list of suppliers that I've already given you. That way you have enough information to really find a supplier to get this item from, or to order this item from, or to do your mock-ups, whatever. You need to figure out if you can really cover the upfront manufacturing cost if you're going to have something created. And that's more so for those people that are doing private label or white label, but you do need to have that upfront cost. And if you're ordering using wholesale, minimum order quantities, again, you need to make sure you have the money upfront. You can find a reliable print on private label manufacturer, which is what I've already mentioned. Create your brand elements. So if you are creating a product from scratch or something that is a modified version, you do need to have your brand elements, including your packaging and things like that, your logo, your artwork, all of that stuff. Order your first batch so you can have some samples. Remember your timing. Go back to, when do I need to have this by? If I wanted to order inventory for Christmas, then again, if I back it up by 12 weeks and then maybe back it up by another 12 weeks, I probably could start placing my orders for some of these samples at least by June. Okay, so that I can have it in enough time, and at least have it so that I can see how good or bad the quality is. Launch it on your site or sell on Amazon or sell on Walmart. You can sell it wherever you want to. You will have to do some level of marketing, and you want to engage your customers. You want to get feedback, pay attention to the feedback. So as I said before, if I'm going to order some inventory, I do want to look at the ratings for the inventory that I'm ordering, the piece of inventory, whether it's baby socks or a hairbrush. What are the ratings for it? Customer feedback ratings. And also the supplier or the manufacturer. What are their ratings? You can typically find that out. Whether or not there's a bunch of complaints, people have issues. I also go read the negative stuff. That's just what I do. Because I want to find out everything that I can expect about this product before I get into it. If I have a bunch of negative reviews, I'm not going to order this particular product. So private label is ordering your stuff directly from your manufacturer. I feel like all my slides are out of order, but you're ordering product directly from a manufacturer or a third party, and you're going to put your brand on it. Now, there's private label and there's white label. A lot of what's happening these days is really white label, but they call it private label. So true private label is really creating something brand new. It doesn't exist in the universe. White label is taking something that already exists in the universe, whether it's a bag of chips that are generically branded, or notebook paper that's generically branded, or hair care supplies or supplements that's generically branded, and putting your name and brand on it, and maybe putting your own spin on it. Some cool logo, some really cool packaging. But if you're creating something brand new that doesn't exist, in most cases, you're working directly with the manufacturer. You may also be working with people who are doing the schematics, engineers that are designing it so that things can be cut and measured to your specifications. You're going to be dealing with packaging, which you have to deal with like white label too. But again, all of that, putting it together, you probably have some mock-ups of it, and then you put it out, prototypes and things like that. And with private label, true private label, probably going to get a trademark. You may have to submit a patent. All of that is part of true private label. White label, again, does not involve a patent, does not include, in most cases, a trademark. I mean, if you're going to create your own brand, then you'll have a trademark for that. But you're not going to have to submit anything to the patent office. In most cases, there's just a lot of stuff you don't have to deal with. Nobody's doing a die cast of something so that they can cut the measurements, so they can make sure the manufacturer can produce it exactly the same way over and over again. Like, all that's not happening. So with private label, you are sourcing, or you're creating a product, not sourcing, but creating a product that you hope will be in demand, that you're going to have to market, and that you're going to take a bunch of extra steps to be able to do that. Now, white label, here are some like private label products. We will call them white label products. Like Target's Up and Up is their own version of their products. So when you go into Target and you see the Up and Up, that's a Target generic store. Great Value is another, that's a brand that's in the store. And so I would consider these sort of like indirectly white label products, because they're creating their own store brand version of this particular product. Same thing with Girl Scout cookies, like ABC Bakers and Little Brownie Bakers are originally created by the Girl Scout cookies. That's the reason why the ABC Baker cookies are good and Little Brown Baker cookies are good. So white label, again, is taking an existing product and putting your brand and logo on it, also doing special packaging for it. And it's easy to get started. You can find white label suppliers. You can go to the White Label Expo, which is one of the best places to find white label suppliers. And the expo is coming up in the next, I feel like it's in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So if you want to go there, I believe it's in Vegas. So if you wanted to go to that, just connect with some white label suppliers, you can. Or you can go online and find white label suppliers. That's just another way to find suppliers that will help you, with your product. And they can walk you through what's required to convert it into your brand, add your logo and all of that. There's going to be some costs associated with it. They're probably going to have some minimum order quantities as well in order to do that work. So you want to be mindful of it. You do want to find out if they will do it on a per unit basis versus large quantity basis, because some of them will do sort of like print on demand. Some of them will do individual versus a minimum order quantity. But White Label Expo is a great place to go find. So if you're maybe selling supplements or a shampoo or wine or duct tape. Like there's some white label suppliers. They've already created the duct tape. They just want you to put your brand and your name on it. It's great. Great way to get started. So another way, place to find inventory, as I said before, my slides are clearly out of order, is store closures. There are a lot of store closures in 2023. Bed Bath & Beyond's going out of business. Tuesday Morning's going out of business. Those two, you'll find some great liquidation inventory or inventory dirt cheap that you can probably sell through Christmas. You want to go get those now. Foot Locker, Bath and Body Works, Gap, Banana Republic, Party City, Best Buy, Big Lots. Like they're closing a certain number of stores. It's not like it's a large quantity. Well, Foot Locker is a large quantity. Bath and Body Works is a semi-large quantity. Then when you get to Gap and Banana Republic, Party City, Best Buy, although Party City, they've been in trouble for a little bit. So I'm hoping they'll hang on. Very few of our Party Cities here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are closed, but Party City is another one that's a good store to find items to be able to sell in bundles. So if you want to do bundles, great one. So Party City, Best Buy, Big Lots. Now, some of the others that are on the list, the Real, Macy's, Walmart, Target, JCPenney's, like they're closing a specific number of stores. They're not closing all the stores. Like they may be closing 10 stores, or they're closing 30 stores or whatever. Considering the fact that maybe they got like 5,000 and they're just closing 30. So look out for stores in your area. You could do a search for store closures just to find out which stores are closing. And then last but not least, just taking the opportunity to go through and look at coupons. Coupons are a great way to maximize your ROI, especially if you're doing retail arbitrage. So you can use your coupons, store coupons, they have them. They have apps that will help you to find the lowest possible price, apps that you can clip coupons. And you want to have all that stuff pulled together, especially if you know what it is you want to sell. So when it comes to like food items that I want to sell over and over and over and over and over and over again, I definitely will use apps, or I will use physical coupons. Although it's really hard to find physical coupons these days. Most of them are online. And some of these printed coupons, they won't take anymore, which is so crazy. Depends on the store. So make a note. When you learn which stores will not take the coupons, make sure that you make a note of that so you don't make the mistake. Like Kroger, you do need to clip the coupons before you get into the checkout, save yourself some time. But you can use coupons as another way to save on other things, like saving on gas, especially if you're going out to do retail arbitrage. Make sure you always keep your receipts. Always keep your receipts. Always keep your receipts. And be nice to the cashier. Sometimes you can choose a specific type of cashier if you have a lot of coupons, and they're not going to challenge every single coupon. Whereas some of the other cashiers that may be a little older or more mature, they're going to potentially challenge some of your coupons. So make sure you double check them before you get in line. And some of the younger cashiers that are newer, greener, or that are, they just look like they don't care. They're on their phone and you just walk up to them. Then some of them don't care. They're not paying attention to the details. So let your cashier know ahead of time that you have coupons. So with that, I hope this information is helpful. I hope you use this to have you make some decisions when it comes to your sourcing and where you get inventory. I've given you a lot of names of different places to source different products. We're going to come back on part 2, and we're going to talk about, based on the different methods of e-commerce, which stores might be best, or not necessarily stores, suppliers, vendors, providers might be best depending on your method of e-commerce. And we'll take a look at that. So with that, if you're watching this inside of eCom Sellers Academy and you have questions, definitely type your questions in the comments section of this video. Type your questions in the comments section of this video and we'll come back and address them. Thank you for your grace and mercy and your patience tonight as we work through some of the technical challenges that we had earlier. And we are going to say goodbye for now. So I'll see you in part 2 of product sourcing.